Hi everyone, it's Winnie here from the Clinic Project. So today what I want to do is actually big picture think. I do a lot of interviews for women in leadership positions in clinics. I do hear a lot of things in different levels, and given that I have a team of 30 people myself, I can see sort of how things grow, what are the problems that people come with, and at each stage of business, what are the bottlenecks, okay? I myself has experienced quite a lot in my last decade of entrepreneurship. I've grown my practices in a very rapid way. I have basically gone through all my different stages in my framework. And so I want to share that with you to what my experience is and also how I see clinic practices can grow in a sustainable way for women. I was in different coaching programs before, and what I find is that the way that I was taught how to grow my business sometimes doesn't resonate with me as much, especially when I start to have a family. I've got two kids, 2 and 4 years old, and I just don't have the time that other people have sometimes. And so for me, I want to build a framework for females that can really be sustainable and also be financially fulfilling. It's not worthwhile if we have a private practice that have the profit margin that our industry have, which is on average 5 to 10% at the moment. It's very, very low when it comes to small businesses. I'm aiming for at least 25%, and a lot of people in my coaching cohort actually can achieve 35% and beyond. Yeah. Above that, you do need to be a bit more creative, which I'll show you sort of how we do things in the Clean Project. And hopefully that can give you some insight to how you're going to grow your business, what is the next step, and what you should focus on during this whole journey. Okay. All right. So this is the clinic scale framework. So let's go through this. Normally within the 0 to 18 months, you're in a startup position. Some people can go through this a lot quicker if they're well planned or they have other business before. So I currently have a startup business and we are at 10 months at the moment. We are not really at startup in terms of revenue mark. We're sort of in here, but that is because I have another established 6 years business behind my back. So in the startup practice, you are dedicating a lot of time to this because you are starting. There are a lot of things that might be unpredictable. You are wearing many hats. So you're basically doing everything. You're trying to get as much revenue as you can so that you can hire. Yeah. I really think that if you're not hiring and you keep as a solo practitioner clinic, I have lots of discussions about this before, but it is really hard to get out. Your revenue is just dependent on you. And, that is just not the way to run a business. That is a really good way to get a job and a very high paying job, but you're basically stuck. You have no one to help you. Your sort of delivery and fulfillment of patient outcomes is just dependent on you. What we want to do is to build a business that has value. And when you say value, it means that it has to be able to run without you or without you constantly treating, at least. Okay. So my goal when people come in the startup phase is make sure that we start to build revenue and capital so that we can hire. And the first hire could be an admin person just to take the admin work out of you, or it could be a practitioner, and everyone is a bit different. So there's no one size fit all in this way of building business. So these are goals. Yeah, we're aiming for 250,000 per person in terms of billings per year. Yeah, if you're significantly sitting below 200,000 mark, it is not sustainable in a lot of practices that we look at. At least what I know when I talk about not sustainable is that your profit margin is not going to be above 20 or 25% because your revenue is simply too low. Okay. So we can work with that. We just need to know why, and we need to take out all the reasons. And maybe it's a mindset block. Maybe it's the way that you market yourself or the way that you charge, but we need to learn how to get yourself to the 200 to 250,000 mark. All right. So then after that, you have really good growth. You keep hiring people and you start to have momentum. There's a lot of sort of energy in this phase, and you're still dedicating a lot of hours to it because you're like, oh my God, like this is going really great. I can run a business. I'm a business owner and I'm generating money, and maybe you have a wait list. So this is a time where you're like, okay, I'm invincible. Yeah. Maybe you might have some problems, for example, patient influx, you're unable to service everyone, or maybe your quality of care start to drop a little bit. But then things are pretty easily manageable because you don't have a lot of people in your team. Okay, so everyone is pretty happy. You have a very close environment and it's easy to mentor and fix things as you go. Your strategy is on reputation, patient care, hiring key team members so that you can increase serviceability, and try to think about automating. So then you're also starting to maybe build some SOPs, procedures, clinic procedures, so that you can train your staff on it. The main key expense normally is marketing. Trying to spread awareness of your brand, trying to fill your books, especially as you keep hiring people, you're creating new books. So this is really heavy on marketing. All right. And you have 2 to 4 people on your team. Mindful that hiring part-times also take a lot longer to reach those stats that we want as well. Okay. And that is for a whole lot of different reasons that we won't talk about in here. Your profit margin is sort of around the 20% point. Sometimes it could be higher because you don't have a lot of expenses that are different to the startup phase. I would say a lot of clinic owners are also careful on their spending, and sometimes they can slow down the growth. Then we go into the messy middle. This is the worst. So normally when people are having that momentum and they start to expand, they might increase the size, they might increase the size of the team, or they might increase the size of the clinic space. Then suddenly they reach this messy middle phase where things start to get out of hand. Maybe the team got too big and you don't have leadership team inside yet. So management becomes an issue. Culture can become an issue as well if you are not handling that very well. Sometimes they feel overwhelmed and stuck. They're doing a lot of things. Sometimes they're still stuck with the money mindset and they're not investing in the right support that they need. And so they are wearing a lot of hats. They're the final approver for stuff. Even if they hire people, they might not know how to delegate properly, or they might not know how to teach people to really take things off their plate. So they might delegate part of the role, but not actually the whole role. And so they are still holding most responsibilities in the practice. And it just kills your bandwidth. You have nothing left for your family. I remember going home and I'm just exhausted. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone anymore because I keep talking to my whole team the whole day. In my space where I have gaps in between patients, most of the time I get filled and bombarded with questions or like Slack messages to ask me how to do this, how to do that. Hey, can you approve that? Can you give me feedback on this? Hey, Winnie, I got a clinical question. So everything is coming to me. So I can definitely feel when people say that they're exhausted. They have no time. This is the most common issue that they face, that I have no time. Yeah. And I can completely understand why, because you have not delegated your responsibilities out to other people. Okay. And maybe you start to plateau a little bit because when it's hard work and you're not completely in it and doing your best because maybe your energy level is down, things start to fluctuate. The quality of care start to fluctuate. The performance of your team is affected. And or maybe you might have resignations that start to come in. Yeah. Because things are not stabilized. What you really want to do is to build a high performance team. Learn how to delegate effectively, quality control, and also start to develop standard operating procedures, the SOPs, to improve the efficiency and the productivity. If you can start to automate things, that'd be great as well. But ultimately, the goal is so that you can have a clinic that runs without you. So you're trying to build everything so that you can delegate and you can hands off operations and stand at a point where you are leading instead of managing everything in the business. Now, if you can do this, then you get into this phase, which is beautiful, which you have a clinic that runs on autopilot. Suddenly you have a lot more time because you might not be treating, or you might be treating. It depends on what you like and what you don't like to do. But you have time and space and bandwidth to do other things. You have delegated so well, you might have a practice manager or a leadership team that can take things off your plate. And now suddenly you feel free. You might be going back and refining your brand or doing some marketing assets, making sure that things are more tightened, but you are starting to think about what else you can do. You start to diversify your income streams. You might put in an online program or a hybrid program. You can do some group therapy with people. And it's only through diversification, getting out of that one-to-one consultation model, that we can achieve profit margin of over 35%. This is key. Yeah. I have never seen a clinic that is running on one-to-one and can have over 30% profit margin easily. Yeah. If they do, normally it's not sustainable. They might have it for like 1 to 2 years and they start to dip. Clinics that run on autopilot with a decent team need to do a lot of work, but when you are there, it is beautiful. Sometimes you might fluctuate and go back into here. Or if you're like me, I went from here and diversifying to going back into a startup because I start another practice. So you can actually be fluctuating between phases. But what I want to say is that you only have time and space and bandwidth to create and have more projects add onto your plate when your original practice is in this space. Yeah. If you try to diversify income and you're actually in here, things are not going to be good because you're going to be more and more in the messy middle. You're going to have more things and then you just don't have time to actually do the new thing well. So I can do my new startup business well because my original business is in the autopilot phase. I can go and set up a business to coach other women practice owners because I'm at this phase with that. So don't go and look at shiny object syndrome and start to go all of those and do those things when you are in these phase, because most likely you need to dedicate time to do those extra income streams. And if you don't systemize your whole practice and have a team that can support you for that, you don't have the time to do that. What will happen is you start something, but you never finish it. Or you maybe create an online program and you never sell it because selling takes energy. Where is the energy from? You don't have it if you're in this place. Okay. So these are just something to consider. You have the table in front of you, so I'm not going to go through everything in here. In the clinic project, I've got 2 programs that can really help you. If you are between this phase, so if you are really stuck in that messy middle phase, you will be suitable for Set to Scale Accelerator, which is one of my programs that look at how to set the foundations so that you can run a sustainable, scalable practice in the future. We look at systems, team, marketing, your business model design. We need to just tighten all your infrastructure so that your business has value to start with. If, let's say, you are sort of here and you're at the tail end, you've got a team, but you just don't have good management or you don't have good systems, but you can spend the time to work on your business, then the Clinic on Autopilot Mastermind is going to be really good for you. Because in here, we're going to look at how to get you from here to here by having a very good leadership team. A lot of that is to do with leadership, management, and delegation. Yeah. Where maybe in here, people don't have the team members yet to support them. So there's no use learning about those things. But in here, really, it's about, okay, you've got the resources now. How do you best utilize them? Yeah. How do you use AI? How do you use VA? How do you hire for those high level decision making? And then diversifying. So what are other income streams? Can you write a book? Can you publish a program? Can you go into creating CPD for other people? There's so much that we can do when we reach that space. So this is a whole continuum. And I think you either can stay here or you reach for here. This is a very hard phase to be in. And our goal is always to get through this as soon as possible. You just want to go through it, like just get rid of it. Okay. That is not a great phase to be in. I hope you enjoy this video and that it gives you some insight to what we're looking at. There's always a lot of things to do when it comes to business building. And I think what distracts people is that when they think they need to do everything in one go and they don't know how to prioritize and they don't know how to choose what to do first. So I hope this is really clear for you to know what you need to focus on. I'm very black and white. Yeah. I look at data. So your data tells me a lot of things and your data tells me stories and also your main blockages. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know and you don't know the blocks until someone else tells you. So this is the power of coaching. And with coaching, you get accelerated growth. And that is how I grew my practice to start with. I hope this is helpful. Any questions, please shoot through. Happy to discuss anything at all. Thank you so much. Bye.